Okay, so we are on page 64, and then we can see that we have a triangular shape here and then the front view. So what they tell us in the question is we have a front view and an auxiliary view of a right regular triangular prism, a cutting plane AA and starting point O. So how do I know which one is which? The auxiliary view will always be the view that shows the true shape of the drawing. Okay, so regardless of what it is, if they say there's an auxiliary view and you have two views, the view that shows you the true shape is then your auxiliary view. Then our instructions are that you have to draw to a scale 1:1 the given front view, a sectional top view, a sectional right view, and then you have to show all necessary construction and no hidden detail is required. But please note that on your front view you have to show hidden detail because it will only be for the sectional views that you don't have to show hidden detail. You need this line to find it on your actual top view and then on your right view. Okay, on your right view. Okay, so the first thing that we do is we can see now that our triangle is on a 45-degree angle, so you're going to use your 45-degree set square and then just draw a construction line of any given distance. Okay, you're going to then use your compass and set your compass on the given side's distance. Now, because they only give us one side's distance, we know that this is an equilateral triangle. So you are going to set your compass on 46. So on 46, and then from O, you are going to do a light scribe to 46. And then, to find the peak of my equilateral triangle, I leave my compass on 46, and then from the 1 point I'm going to do a scribe at the top and O a scribe, and where these two arcs then intersect with one another, that is the peak of my triangle. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw a line there and a line there, and that is now my equilateral triangle. Now when I do my XY axis, this will be considered as your auxiliary XY axis. The distance between the two views does not have to be more than 10 millimeters, but please don't go and measure exactly 10 millimeters. So what I do is I'm just going to guess more or less half of 10 millimeters, draw my XY axis and make sure that it is longer or at least in line with how wide your actual drawing is here. And then on my 45-degree angle, I'm going to do projection. And this will now be in construction. Okay, so these are very light, continuous lines. Just for the board's purpose, I'm going to draw them a little bit darker so that you guys can actually see them. Sorry, I'm making a double line here. I don't want to do that. Okay, so see where I'm holding my pencil at the back, and I'm just dragging my pencil, and this will create a darker line or a lighter line, but I'm just making them a little bit darker for the projector's purpose so that you can see what I'm doing. And then I'm projecting all corners of my solid. Okay, now I can go and draw my front view in solid because I know exactly how it looks like. So I'm going to set my set square. Just, you see these distances are more or less the same. I'm not measuring anything. I'm just setting it so that to my eye, it looks more or less the same. And now when I'm drawing, I'm still pulling my pencil, but I'm holding my pencil closer to the edge and applying a little bit more pressure. And that gives me a nice solid outline, and you can see the difference in shading between my B lines and my A lines now, okay? Then the height of my actual solid is then 43. So I'll set my compass on 43. From my base to a scribe, close my solid, and then I'll close it on the sides as well. Then for my hidden detail, there's two methods of doing this. You can take a line, a solid line, and use your erasing shield with the little dots to put over that, and then erase all the lines, all the dots actually, and that will create a hidden detail line. Or you can just go and more or less, and you can see that they are quite equally spaced, and it doesn't have to be exact. That is basically what I'm telling you. Okay, so now our given view is done, but we need to add the cutting plane AA. So on our question, they show us that the distance from the edge to the cutting plane here is 12, and then at the top it goes through this midpoint here. So I'm just going to measure 12, and then from the corner, scribe 12, and then it's not on a given angle, so what I do is I just draw the line through here, and then this is also a B type of line, but please note, this is now a center line, not a hidden detail line. Okay, so center line is a dash dot line. Okay, then on the edges, just go over it like that, and then you are certain that you have your dark, they are very bold lines on the edges. Okay, and that is my cutting plane. So I'm done with my given views. So when I go to my question, I can say, tick, I've done my given views. I'm now going to go to my sectional top view. Now when we started, I told you that this is an auxiliary XY axis. Our real XY axis are either vertical or horizontal. Okay, horizontal or vertical. Okay, so this one is on an angle, so it is an auxiliary axis. It is just so that you are able to find this on the angle that it is lying at. Okay, so I'm going to now do my XY axis, and now you'll see you are going to maybe go over your actual drawing here, okay, your auxiliary view, okay, because it needs to be in line with this point more or less. So I'm going to go around about up to here, and I'm not going to drag my pencil. Okay, so that is now my new XY axis, and see, I can go over this drawing. There's nothing wrong with that. It is just your referencing purposes. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to do projections straight down. Now you can use your board ruler like this, okay, to project. Yes. Okay, so now, or like I said, you can put your ruler across, or you can take your set square, and then from each of these points do your projection. Now, I'm going to project first only the bottom. Okay, and remember these must be construction lines, so your lines has to be very light. Okay, I'm just drawing them dark, otherwise you won't be able to see them. So I'm first doing the bottom. Remember, this is a prism, so it has a triangular bottom and a triangular top. But because it looks the same at the bottom as it looks at the top, I'll show you now what you're going to do to actually then get the top here. So we're first going to do the bottom. Now we're going to use a thing called the rule of similarity. When we do the rule of similarity, you please have to pay attention on your sides of your solid. So I'm going to number O as 1, just for reference purposes. 1, 2, 3. Okay, now when I look at my solid, and you'll do this when you go to hexagons and so forth as well, which numbers align? So it is 1 and 3. They are the same distance away from my auxiliary XY axis. So I only have to set my compass once to do 2 scribes. So I'm going to set it on the, you see, on the auxiliary XY axis to O. Okay? And then that will be the same distance as if I would have set it from there, from the auxiliary XY axis to 3. So I'm now going to check, just so that you know, this will now be numbers 1, 2, and 3. I'm going to follow number 1's construction to number 1 on my front view, down to my new XY axis, and I'm going to do a scribe. And then remember I said 1 and 3 is the same, so I'm going to from 3 to my new XY axis, 3. Okay, so this is now numbers 1 and numbers 3. Then number 2. So there's number 2. Follow number 2 to my new XY axis, and there is number 2. So you see number 2 does not go over my auxiliary view here. It's over the construction, and that's more than fine. You may do that. Okay, now we won't draw this in solid, because remember our solid is sectioned. So this is now number 2, but I will connect them in construction so that they create a triangle on this view that I am looking at, so the top view. There, and this should be a straight line. They should connect straight together. Okay, so this is now all first in construction. Now I need to make it a 3D figure. So I already actually have all the points that I need. What I'm going to do now is, here again, this is 1, 2, 3. I'm going to project them down. So you'll see 3 is like kind of on the side of 1, 2. Okay, sorry, that was 3, 2, and 1. Okay, now, number 2 is the middle construction. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to take my board ruler, and then from number 2, there is number 2. Okay, sorry, I just want to do this properly. So that's also number 2. Then numbers 1 and number 3, you can see now that it is a straight line. Okay, so number 3 will be here, number 1 will be there. Okay, oh, why is this happening? Okay, so that is number 3, and this is number 1. Now please make sure about these 2 points because they're so close. Number 1 is the one to your left, number 3 is the one to your right. Don't, when you're taking it from 2 now to number 1, it's going to be wrong. Okay, so you will connect number 2 to number 3, and number 1 to number 2. All in construction, and now it kind of looks like a little teepee tent type of thingy, okay? So this is now the bottom of our solid. This triangle is the top of our solid when we are looking at it from the top view. So actually I will only see 2 to 3 here. Then 3 connects to 3 here on an upright line, if I can explain it to you like that. And then this is the top here. And then obviously 2 to 2 connects, because also 1 and 1 connects, if you would imagine in your mind turning this figure in your mind. Okay, so I'm done with my construction. I need to go and see now where does my cutting plane cut my solid. So it cuts on point number 2 here. Okay, so when I'm going to project this point down, it won't show anywhere because it is directly on point number 2. But remember, at point number 2, it's not the only point on this face here. When I project this line down, there's another point here between numbers 1 and 3 on that line at the back, okay? So there's another point of my cut, okay, that I'm looking at. Then, here, it will cut between numbers 3 and numbers 2. So I'm going to project that point here. It cuts nothing. There's nothing there, okay? So here, where it meets my line, my cutting plane, look at this. It cuts between numbers 2 and numbers 3, as well as between numbers 3 around the back and numbers 1. So 3 and 1. So you see what's happening here. So now, this will become a straight line. This will become a straight line. I will connect this cut to that point because you see it's connected there. So this point that I got there, connected to point number 2. And this will be a solid line here. So this is now my section that you can see here. Now I need to see what stays, what will be solid on my actual solid, and what will be taken away. So you are standing here at the top looking down at this solid. Everything that is closest to you from the cutting plane, the part that I'm covering with my hand, is closest to you. That gets thrown away. Everything now here that you can see stays. So now I need to go and look. Okay, so from my section, which is there, this to number 1 stays. So here, that is going to stay. Do you guys see that? Okay, so I go and I draw that in solid. To number 1. To number 1. Cover it up again. Okay, I can see number 2. Number 2 is going to stay here. And then that little bit there. So, from numbers 2 to number 2. So, from number 2 to number 2. That line is going to stay. Do you guys see that? It's hidden detail on here because it was at the back. But now, from the view that I'm looking at it, I can actually see it now. Okay, as well as the point between number 2 and the section. The point between number 2 and the section. So basically what falls away is number 3. You see? Because it cuts onto and then 2 stays here at the bottom. So there's my solid now. Done. I now need to go and do hatching. Now, to show you how to do your hatching. All hatching, always 45-degree angle. Okay? Except if your drawing is on a 45-degree angle. Okay, so let's say this view was section. You won't hatch on a 45. You'll hatch on a 0-degree or a 90-degree angle, because when I turn my drawing up straight, the hatching will be on a 45. Do you guys understand that? Okay, so now when I start with my hatching, I will always start in a corner where my ruler can move into my drawing. Okay? Or I can start here and my ruler can move into my drawing. Okay? So why am I doing this is because I will now set this corner where my section starts on my millimeter lines or on my centimeter lines. So I don't want it to take too long, so I'm going to set it on my centimeter lines. Some of your set squares has a little nick on it. You're going to use that little nick in the same way that I'm showing you now. So you set your nick on the corner. Then this is now B type of line, so they should be lighter than your outside lines. Once I've done that line, I will now set the centimeter, you see here, on the line. And look at how nice and equally spaced my hatching is. So, and this is quick. Can you guys see how quick this is? Okay, so there my hatching is now done. And look at how nice and equally spaced the hatching lines are. Okay, so now once we've completed our top view, we can go and we can say, okay, our sectional top view is done. Now they want a sectional right view. Now remember, first angle orthographic projection, so right view will go on the left-hand side. But I'm looking at it from this side, and I'll project it on the left-hand side. So again, this part of my cutting plane is going to be taken away because it's closest to me, né? So it will look very similar to this view. Okay, so now, again, you're going to create a new XY axis. Do your projections across, and you can again only do one of the sides. You don't have to do all of them. Okay. So I will just for speed purposes now do all of them so long. But I won't scribe all of them, okay? So now, again, rule of similarity. So just the thing that I've learned throughout the years is start with your smallest distance because your compass is already closed when you start, né? Okay, so you start with your smallest distance, which is number 2. Follow number 2 to my XY axis that I just created. So you see, I'm going up from the XY to the number 2, across on my projection to the XY axis, scribe number 2. Then, numbers 3 and number 1, from the auxiliary XY to number 3, follow number 3, follow the projection, scribe number 3, and then the same for number 1. Okay, so that is my construction done. Okay, so now what I can do is I can go and draw in my triangular shape. And again, this must be all in construction. No dark lines yet because it is sectioned. Okay, and then I'll just do projection to the rest of my solid. So for number 2, it lines up with this line here, so right there. Okay, so that's my other number 2. And then these ones, as we see previously, you can just take them all the way. The one here on the inside will be number 1, and the one there at the top will be number 3. So please make sure when you're doing this connection that you connect it to the right line, not to the wrong one. There. And there. Okay, so we have here, again, number 2, number 1, and number 1, number 3, and number 3. Okay, so we have all of that now again. Now, again, we're going to project the cutting plane across. So now you can see again, number 2 goes all the way across. So on there, that gets cut. Okay, here, doesn't cut anywhere else but here. It cuts between 3 and 2. So where's 3 and 2? There's line 3 and 2. So you see I'm looking at my view here to see 2 and 3. It cuts between 2 and 3. Okay, there's 2, there's 3. It cuts on that line. As well as, there's also a line at the back, 3 to 1. Ne? Line 3, 2, there's 1, 3 to 1. Okay, so then that is my cutting plane. Or my cut actually on my solid. There. Connect these points on the angle. And that is my cut. Now I need to go and see what stays and what goes. Again, covering up what's going away because I'm looking at it from the right hand side. So this is closest to me. Remember, I won't be able to see from the right here at the back, so I don't do that. Okay, so I'm looking at it like this. So from here, I can see 1. Okay, that line already became solid. It gets hidden behind here. We don't show hidden detail. Okay, I can see this bottom number 2 here. So from that number 2 on the cut downwards, I will be able to see this line there. Then 1, okay, so I'm going to see 1 from numbers 2 to number 1. Going to see that. And then from number 1 to number 1, I'm going to see that. So just complete this line. Okay, and then will I see the line that from to this little bit here at the back, which is now cut off, basically this piece here? No, I will not, because it gets hidden. And they ask us, hold on, wait. Okay, now you will see it, sorry. You will see this line here. Because we actually, I'm going to show you now why I'm saying you will see this line. You are actually seeing the bottom of the triangle. So this would have been the total bottom of the triangle. But now this little piece here gets cut off. I'm only seeing this piece here. This line from 2 to 3. So from this 2 to 3, I won't see whatever stays with it because it is behind my cut. Okay, so just make sure that when you do this, when you are doing these drawings, cover up the piece that gets taken away and go and see, okay, I can see this line on here, I can see that line, I can see that line, I can see that line, and go and look where they are here. Okay? Please do that. Okay, so then I'm done with my cut. I'm going to use my 45-degree set square again. Again, I'm going to start in a corner. So you see I'm setting this centimeter line of number 2 on the corner. B type of lines, please, when you're doing this. Down, down, there, and there. And there I have my completed drawing, because if I look at this, yes, sectional right view, I showed all my construction lines. I don't have to show hidden details, so I don't actually have to show this line there. Okay.